112-97 win over Toronto. Joel Embiid scored 31 points as the 76ers went up 2-0 in the first-round series. The MVP candidate also told Nick Nurse to, quote, stop bleeping about calls. This after the Raptors coach complained about the big man to media following that Game 1 defeat. Shannon, to be fair, on the other hand, James Harden only scored 14 points in 41 minutes. So, scale of 1 to 10, how much stock are you putting in these two home wins over Toronto?
A 1. I felt Philly was the better team. They have the better player. They have, two of the three best players that's on the court. James Harden, not the way he's been playing, Skip. But I thought they had no answer for Joel Embiid. And Tyrese Maxey is growing up right before our eyes. But, Skip, if you think the Philadelphia 76ers are getting out of the Eastern Conference and going to win a title with Tyrese Maxey as your second-best player, that's not going to happen. There's a reason why you trade 3 starters. There's a reason why you give up draft picks. You didn't give up that so James Harden can be your 4th leading scorer. James Harden needs to be consistently your second-best player, and he's been anything but that in the first round. Now, I will give Philly credit. They done what they were supposed to do. They held serve at home. And when you look at it, Skip, Greg Trent Jr. gave you 0 points last night. He gutted up. He couldn't go. No Scotty Barnes. So there's not a surprise that they lost, and they lost in the fashion that they did. They put up a pretty good effort, but they're only going to go so far because I feel that Philly is the better team. But, Skip, this is about moving forward. You're not going to get out of the East with James Harden playing the way he's playing. I don't know what it is, Skip. I don't know if he's aging before our eyes. I don't know if his hamstring is bothering him. I don't know if he's out of shape. I don't know what it is. But you can't tell me James Harden looked like the James Harden that played when he first got to Brooklyn and was playing when he was in Brooklyn before he realized that, you know what, they're not going to lift the mandate. Man, let me get on up out of here. We're not going to get Kyrie back, and so we're not going to be able to win. But, Skip, they're not going anywhere with James Harden being their 4th leading scorer. I'm sorry. And that's not a knock on Tyrese Maxey because I think Tyrese Maxey is playing phenomenal basketball. He's stepping up, taking and making big shots. But I give this a 1, Skip. I mean, this is Toronto. I give it a 1.
And I'm going to go you one better. I'm going to give it a 0, big 0. And by the way, speaking of your man, James Harden, you loved this trade the day it went down because the next day you said Philly snookered the Brooklyn Nets out of James Harden.
I thought they bamboozled him, Skip. Yeah. I thought they swindled him. It don't look like a swindle now.
It does not, although Ben Simmons could make it a swindle the other way around if he never was able to play. I don't know what he's doing. I have no idea. They say he's pain-free. I'd like to see it because right now he's just a pain in Brooklyn's butt because he's sitting on his butt on the bench and not contributing at all. So maybe the trade remains to be seen. Jury is still out on trade, but obviously they also got 2 other starters. They got Seth and they got Big Penguin, obviously. So here's my problem with what was happening. You hit upon the 3 points. If you take Scotty Barnes out of the middle of this lineup, he's Rookie of the Year candidate, obviously. He is integral to what they've been doing, especially on defense. And then Gary Trent Jr. is a 3-and-D guy who's tough-minded and makes big plays and big shots. And as you said, he tried to go and went 0 for 3 in all of 9 minutes and 44 seconds. And Thaddeus Young has been instrumental to their 8-man rotation. And he was obviously injured in Game 1, and he tried to go last night and played 8 minutes and scored 2 points. So when you take those 3 out of the equation, Toronto is going to struggle. So now we get James Harden able to just sort of clunk along under the radar because he was clunking last night, to your point. 3 of 9. He had 6 assists, but he had 5 turnovers and scored 14 points. Well,
in 41 minutes.
In 41 minutes. Those are the kind of numbers that will get you beaten if, in fact, the other team can measure up and hang in with you. And Toronto got off to a good start where they go up like 9-2, I think it was, but they don't have the firepower to last.
Firepower.
All right. So if you let Joel Embiid start to front run on you, start to bully you, you're really going to have no shot. And he went completely over the top and over the edge. And he winds up over there with Nick Nurse telling him, you got to quit, as Jen said, bleeping about calls. Well, it's rare that you see an opposing star go over to the opposing coach and say, hey, quit complaining about the calls, would you please? Yeah.
Skip, it's easy for you to say when your team is shooting 30 free throws and the other team is shooting 12.
Thank you.
He shot more free throws than the opposing team. So that's all Joel Embiid does. If he doesn't get the foul call, he throws his hands up like, ref, you see I missed the shot. He had to do something.
So before this series started, I thought Philly was going to be troubled enough because of James Harden that I gave Toronto a good shot at shell-shocking, said Philadelphia 76ers. And it hasn't happened because they haven't been whole and they haven't been right. If they can get some people healthier, I think they could make things tough on Philly at Toronto in 3 and 4. But do I think they can beat them? I do not. So we'll see what Philly's fate is when we get to next round or maybe the next round. But the point is, I've loved Tyrese Maxey, and if you remember, I fought back to you. I said you cannot include Tyrese Maxey in any trade that would bring you James Harden, and they managed not to include him. And I love his guts, and I love his style, and I love the energy that he plays with, and he just plays with a flair where he's just fearless, and I love that about him. But to your point, if you're going to go places, it has to be Harden and Embiid, not Maxey and Embiid. I completely agree.
Skip, I mean, James Harden, he only took 9 shots. He scored 18 points a game, shooting 35% over his last 10 games. You going home. James, I don't care. If James Harden continues to play like this, the Philadelphia 76ers are going home.
Yep.
It is probably going to be the next round. Because, look, Joel Embiid is going to be Joel Embiid. But they brought James Harden in to be the second best player, to be a guy that can take some of the pressure, like when they bring the double, take that pressure off of Joel Embiid. I'm sorry, you're not going anywhere with James Harden playing like this. Man took 9 shots in 41 minutes. I remember James Harden took 9 shots in 1 minute.
Shannon, I agree with your take. He's starting to look old to me. It's like he's becoming an old man right before your very eyes. And I see Chris Paul, almost 37, just take over a game in the fourth quarter. And Chris looks so fit and so strong, and James looks so not in shape to me. Maybe he's never looked in shape. Maybe that's just the way his body's always looked, but it just doesn't look right, and I don't see the explosion. I don't see the quickness. I'm not sure I see the drive and the fire that I've seen in days back in Houston.
Skip, but here's the thing. You know this. If you're an athlete, and you don't like to train, you know what starts to happen. It goes quick as you start to age.
It does.
A lot of times training can help offset the process of aging. But when you're not a workout warrior and you start to age, and a lot of your game is based on athleticism, what? So he's going to Skip, he's going to get that. They got no choice but to give him that extension. They got no choice. I mean, you've given up what you've given up, and you've given up draft picks. So you got to sign him. But, Skip, James is going to have to change the way he does business in the offseason. I'm sorry, he's just going to have to. And he might need to change some of the things that he does during the season.
So Embiid finally got in shape this year, and arriving James Harden is out of shape. Good luck.
Good luck.
This series moves to Toronto now, guys, and I'm curious to watch this dynamic between Nick Nurse and Embiid. It is getting very curious. All right, still to come. Shannon, get ready. Is LeBron not getting the respect he deserves from referees?
Here we go.
Stick around.
He not. You know it. Stop.
No mercy.